What's up, guys? Woof, we're here. We're 2 games. It's going to happen. I'm freaking busy. Creighton, I hear you, man. I hear you in the comments. I'm with you. I love doing this more than my 9-to-5 job. And I feel like I have unique takes. And this was actually meant to be a video. This was meant to be something I was going to put in video form, not live. It's going to put it together, but I've got to leave town and go to a family funeral. Don't. I'm not begging for condolences. It was not a shocker. It's a grandparent, and it's sad, and I am sad over it. I just I gotta go right on football week. I gotta get out of town, and then I gotta come back, and then I got my girls, and I got life. So I feel you guys. I feel you, and I do. I want to make this big. I want to make it. It's growing. It's growing every day. So I'm probably gonna get right into it with this one because there's a lot of jam-packed information that I give unique takes on, and I want to share with you guys because this is going to be a video, and I hope I don't offend anyone by it. I don't think I will, because the hype train is real right now, and it should be. The hype train is leaving the station. Everyone is getting so pumped about this team, and we should be. It's real. This team is real. There, every single section, there's pieces where it makes you feel like that guy could be could be a Super Bowl caliber guy. That guy could be hoisting a Lombardi, and this is real. And I'm right on board, guys. I see that first 9 weeks, and I see it. I mean, if by some stretch we happen to go 9-0 those first 9 weeks, can you freaking imagine this fan base? It'll be insane. It'll be absolutely bizarre. And I don't expect that. In fact, I've tried to preface everyone, and I've tried to say there's a good shot we could go 0-2. Your first game, rookie quarterbacks on their rookie deal, on the first round picks in the first game of the season, not sitting and waiting and learning and watching. They never win, ever. Not even Andrew Luck, who is the most generational guy before Caleb Williams. So it doesn't happen. This Titans team is a bottom tier prospect team that's added a lot of really good pieces. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk game, but I think the Bears defense is going to make it a cakewalk, and I think it will ease Caleb into it. That's not the point of this video, is to make projections. But this is going to be a realistic video. This is not going to be the hype train video, and I hope fans are ready for that. So let me jump into it, because there's a lot of things that need to go right for this team to make the playoffs, to be playoff bound, to be Super Bowl bound. There's a lot of things that need to go right. And it all can happen, and I see it happening, and it can happen, and I'm there, and I want it. But if one of these players, I'm going to give you 5 players that need to be the Bears MVPs. 5 players that if we lose one of them, we're in trouble. We're in a mess. And Ryan Poles is going to have to put that GM cap on, and he's going to have to trade a first-round pick to make us back to stability. Now, I've made a big projection or analysis that we've got to go out and get more pass rush help. I don't think enough people are pounding that table because they don't realize it. I'm going to show it right here. This is last year. I'm going to go through the entire team, and then I'm going to show the 5 teams or the 5 players that can't go down for us. So this is last year. This is where the Bears ranked. And I understand the second half of the season looked a lot better, but I'm going to get to one right here. Pass rush. We were dead last in the league with a 59. Now, these are PFF grades. This is the easiest way for me to give a compact without pulling a bunch of stats and analysis and bringing in every single team and try to compare them side by side and do the entire thing. This is the quickest way to give a general consensus of where our team ranked against other teams in every single specific category. There's a reason Ryan Poles tried to trade for Matthew Judon, even if it was for a rental for this year. We were 32nd in pass rush. If you take the second half of the season, we were still bottom 10 in the league. Our pass rush is not spectacular yet. We've got Montes Sweat. DeMarcus Walker is not a pass rusher. He looked a lot better. He looked significantly better with Montes Sweat here. And I've shown that on this video. I'm going to show it a little bit more today. Jacob Martin's a decent pass rusher, but he's not a complete player. Austin Booker is a phenomenal prospect that we stole in the 5th round that should have been a 3rd rounder. And now, I mean, what happened there, guys? This isn't supposed to be an hour-long show. I've got a lot to say. There's so many things I wanted to get before the season. Austin Booker was a third-round prospect, and we went over that on this channel. Those who haven't, go back and look at the old videos because I don't want to go over everything today. He was light. He was 230, 235 pounds. He beefed up before the combine, got up to 240, 245. And then he didn't perform as well at the combine. His combine did not go particularly well. It wasn't a spectacular day for him. So teams kind of got cold on him. And with that, his draft stock plummeted a little bit. Now, I know that's all kind of little on the screen. I apologize. I'll talk and then I'll bring it back up and I'll give my point on it. But he's still developing. Think about that. He's still developmental. Think about Zach Pickens. Think about Velus Jones Jr. Think about who are our other third rounders, even fifth rounders. Think about Noah Sewell. Think about Dominique Robinson. Guys, fifth round picks are not your immediate impact guys. So if we're wanting to fix this pass rush right now today, that didn't happen, and it won't happen without a trade. So I'm not trying to be negative Ned. I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to say this is real. Okay, we were 32nd in the league last year. This is real. That's where we were. Now let's go to other categories. Now I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna show bottom to top, so it's easier to show for you guys. I'm gonna show bottom to top and make that a little bit easier. Let's just stick on the defense. Coverage, we weren't nearly as bad. Coverage, we were 14th worst in the league. Okay, so right in the middle of the pack. Tackling, we were 12th worst. This is from worst to best. No, I'm sorry. Now it's from best to worst. It didn't keep it converted for me. So tackling, we were 21st worst in the league. Okay, run defense, another huge weakness for us. Third worst in the league. That didn't fix overnight. We didn't pick someone up that fixed our run defense. What did happen, and this is the only condolences I have for our team and how I think it's going to get better. This is the reality of where we are. Let me pull this up. This is what happened. Ryan Poles admitted in his interview with the Sun-Times that he rushed his decisions when he was initially hired, not of Matt Eberflus, and that's why he kept Matt Eberflus, of Alan Williams and Luke Getsy. He admitted that after the fact. Now, you don't hear that too often because you don't want to talk bad on other coaches in the league, but he admitted that he got it wrong. This year, there's nothing but crowning accolades for Eric Washington and Shane Waldron. That's the big difference. Coaching matters in this league. Premier coaches can change a culture. If you haven't checked this out, this is just from the Bears website. It was easier than me getting a slide together. I'm trying to rush through this thing, but I want to get my thoughts out more than have a pretty presented slide. So Eric Washington, both with Carolina and Buffalo, is renowned for bringing the best out of his talent that he had. That's the difference maker this year for this defensive line. Now, we still tried to trade for a pass rusher because that pass rush isn't there. This season will come down to whether or not Eric Washington can pull the most out of his defensive line. I don't think a lot of fans realize that. I got so many thoughts to get through here. Okay, Matt Eberflus is well known as a defensive coach, but more specifically as his secondary. His linebackers, which is what he loves particularly, and his defensive backs, cornerbacks, safeties. That's what and you saw that swarming last year. You saw the secondary take over for this team. Our pressure still wasn't there, and they have to work in conjunction. So think about how special this team could be, why I was pushing the idea of Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson. It's not just clickbait, oh, this would be fun for the Bears. It's a need. We don't have a 3-tech yet, and that's what this defense relies on. We have Gervon Dexter. I get it, guys. I'm trying to rein in the hype train until it actually happens. You haven't seen it yet from him. His body's transformed, but he's got to prove it. Eric Washington could be the key to that. This season is going to come down to these first couple weeks. Like last year, the first 4 weeks showed a lot about this team, exposed Alan Williams, exposed Luke Getsy. They were trouble. Once Alan Williams was gone, Matt Eberflus was able to take over, and he's still going to play call. Why is he going to play call this year? He's still a defensive-minded coach. Eric Washington was brought in specifically for this defensive line. This line is supposed to be fixed because of Eric Washington, and he's done it before. In Carolina, in Buffalo, that was the crowning achievement of what he's done. He is specifically a defensive line guru. That's why he paired up with Eric Washington. He's still going to call the plays. Matt Eberflus is still going to call the plays, and he's got someone to be able to help with the weakness with where we had. I love the move. It's probably the most undershadowed move this entire offseason. How can you take very little additions to the biggest weakness on this team, which was the defensive line pass rush, and turn it into a strength? The only way you can do that with limited draft picks, with limited signings, with limited ability, waiting until this next draft, is to hire someone like Eric Washington. We hit a home run on this one. I'm confident in that. And these first 4 weeks are going to make or break this team with this pass rush. The secondary can help. Those defensive backs, and I've showed it on the other video, I'm going to show it again here. The defensive backs, the cornerbacks, the safeties. Getting Kevin Byard, who was voted a captain, by the way. We're going to get into all that. Because of his coverage and because of his hits, he disguises coverage way better than Eddie Jackson did. Those are huge moves. The secondary is making up for the pass rush at this point. If we get a Micah Parsons type player to go with Montes Sweat is a top 20 defensive end in this league. He's not top 10. He's not top 15. If you want to be a Super Bowl team, you've got to have that pressure. You've got to have it on the inside as well. You've got to have a Chris Jones type of guy. Why are the Chiefs so successful? They've got it on the pressure. We've got to have that this year. So this is our secret weapon this year, Eric Washington. So even though he's not one of my top 5 players on this MVP, Eric Washington is going to have to be the MVP of this team. There's got to be pressure on him. He's got to be able to pull it through. All right. Let's get into my MVPs, who we have to have be MVPs on this team. Okay. First of all, here's your captains. Let this roll through. I've got it in video format to make it easier. There's our captains. All right. You got Kevin Byard, you got TJ Edwards, you got DJ Moore, you got Jalen Johnson, you got Caleb Williams, you got Mercedes Lewis, you got Cole Kmet, and you got Tremaine Edmonds. Great picks for captains. Captains are different than MVPs. If you had Mercedes Lewis go down, you can still win ball games. If you have Kevin Byard go down, I'm confident that secondary would still be okay. Tremaine Edmonds is not nearly as valuable as TJ Edwards. I want him to be. I want him to live up to the contract, but he hasn't lived up to it yet. There's a lot going on here. All right. I feel a lot better about our offensive line going into this year than I did before the preseason. I don't think anything's fixed at all. I don't think anything is fixed on that line. I think we have depth to make it comfortable. I think you have someone behind Nate Davis that's just as good as Nate Davis in Ryan Bates, in Bill Murray, and Matt Pryor is showing what he showed in Indianapolis, showing what he showed very limited in San Francisco last year. So I think there's a ton of potential on that line, but I think we have the depth. And Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles have both gone off about it and said, I'm really comfortable with the depth. Never had a team this deep on the offensive line. So here is the whole article on the team captains. I'll take my mug off so you guys can see it. I'm not going to stop and read this whole thing, but I added it on here so you guys can see it. The whole comments they made about the captains. I highlighted the team captains in orange. You can pause this. You can come back to it later. You can go to the Bears website if you want to, but this is the entire article on why they chose the captains. Last year, if you don't remember, we had a revolving door of team captains, and we had honorary captains for the week as we tried to adapt this team, as we tried to adjust on the fly and make this team a reputable team to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they did an awesome job on who they chose for team captains. I think these are guys that show leadership, and it says a lot that Caleb Williams was chosen as a captain as a rookie quarterback. It shows a lot. I didn't do a video on it. I know a lot of guys did. I didn't want to get any further on that because there's not a lot of analysis other than the fact that it's a good thing. When you've got your rookie quarterback, when you picked him first overall, the fact that he's made a captain, that's a really good thing. So let me get into the MVPs, and I'm going to explain why. We'll go into breakdown on why on each one. All right. So these are the 5 players that we would be screwed if we lost. We would be in trouble. You'd see Ryan Poles absolutely hitting some kind of trade, overpaying to be able to make it work. Number 5, Jalen Johnson or Tyreek Stevenson. Okay. Either one. The reason being, as I just explained, and you're not hearing anybody else really talk about it that much, this secondary carried the team last year. It wasn't pass rush. Your pass rush has to carry a defense that's built like our defense. Our defense hides and exposes their coverage formations really, really well, which exposes quarterbacks to be able to throw improper or poor decision. You saw it with Jared Goff. We could do a whole breakdown on those games. We disguised it really well. Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson are both top 10 cornerbacks in this league. And I don't say that on the hype train because what I'm trying to do is bring down the hype train. I'm telling you guys, these two and TJ Edwards, I'm going to show TJ Edwards, these three were the reason this team did so well last year. And if the pass rush can catch up to that, this will be an 85 Bears legendary defense. And I don't say that lightly. All right. So here is, oh man, I gotta get the right view here. All right. So here is last year, weeks 10 through 18. This was in my other video. This is the NFL passer rating against. This is all cornerbacks across the entire league. Jalen Johnson, number 1 with a 23.7 NFL passer rating against him. Look who's number 12 down there. Tyreek Stevenson, 55.7. There were only 15 that had below 60 NFL pass rating against. Think about your quarterbacks. You want a perfect passer rating is 158. You want your quarterback to have a 100, 120 NFL passer rating. I mean, 120 would be phenomenal. As a consistent basis, to keep them below 60 is phenomenal. Look at the names that are on this list. Jalen Johnson, Patrick Peterson, Rasul Douglas, Jack Jones, Marlon Humphrey, Sauce Gardner, Travarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, Darius Slay, Antonio Hamilton. I mean, these are all top-level cornerbacks. You heard the hype go around Joey Porter Jr. last year. You heard the hype go around Devin Witherspoon last year as rookies. The hype did not come to Tyreek Stevenson because nobody's paying attention, because they don't want to hype up the Chicago Bears too early. They see the bad pass rush. They see us go 7-10. They see us go 3-14 the year before, and you can't hype up the Bears. You don't want to do that too early. Now we finally get a generational quarterback, and you start to see that hype train come along. You start to see it happening. But there's no reason whatsoever Jalen Johnson should have been shafted with a top 100, and Tyreek Stevenson should have been shafted from rookies, because you look at the pass breakups. Only one of these guys had more pass breakups than Tyreek Stevenson. That's Travarius Ward. None of them had more interceptions in the second half than Tyreek Stevenson. Rasul Douglas had the same amount. He also had a dropped interception as well, and he did allow 2 touchdowns against him, part of being a rookie, but that's part of the equation of NFL pass rating against. He still played so well other than those 2 plays that he was phenomenal. Only 1 penalty against him the whole second half of the season, a 75.3 coverage grade from PFF. Absolutely phenomenal and overlooked. I do believe Terrell Smith, I do believe Terrell Smith is a very quality backup, also a rookie last year, and I think he played well. But you saw him exposed when Jalen Johnson didn't play in Week 18 against the Packers, and that was the big weakness. When you don't have a pass rush like we didn't have, very limited. It's exciting when we get a sack. We can't believe it. Oh, we got a sack. Woo! We're not used to it. We should be having multiple sacks a game. We should have a guy with 20 sacks in a season if we want to be Super Bowl contenders. I know that's the upper echelon, that's the top tier, but we need that type of guy. And when you don't have that pressure, and you only had one of these guys in the game, Terrell Smith had a poor game. So did Elijah Hicks. That secondary, which carried us all year, let us down in the game against the Packers. They can only do so much without pass rush. They can only handle it so much. So if one of those 2 guys go down, we're effed. We're done. And that's a scary position to be in unless we get more pass rush. If we got pass rush, the pressure wouldn't be on them so much. Number 4, Coleman Shelton. I know that's a lot to put on a guy that's brand new to the team, but think about Caleb Williams and what he's gone through in his adjustments. All the praise is on how much he's come along and where he's made his adjustments, what he's done. The big thing this year with this team, let me remove this one. and I've got to bring it up. I don't have that one prepared. Is this offensive line? Okay, I'm going to pull this up. We're going to go by team, go preseason 2024, and we're going to go offensive pass blocking. This was the big difference in helping Caleb have a good start to his career here. The Bears were the best pass blocking team this offseason. And when you compare that to last season, it's being slow to, sorry. All right, I got too many tabs open. We're just going to stop that. We were 25th, 26th, 27th last year in pass blocking. Coleman Shelton showed this preseason that he's a leader. There was a lot of praise and accolades coming to him. And, it's going on its own. You guys are going to see who number 3 is. It was supposed to be paused. There's a lot of praise about how he's calling out, he's using his experience. A lot of people before this preseason were having the debate between Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton, and there was a lot of misinformation, and a lot of misinformation by the main pundits in Chicago. A lot of misinformation by your main channels, your people who thought they knew everything because Coleman Shelton was signed as a free agent and Ryan Bates was traded for. Well, Ryan Bates was traded for first, and so then this rumor went around that Ryan Bates was going to be the center. And then Coleman Shelton was signed after, and all these people ran away with it without having correct factual information. Coleman Shelton has been on Super Bowl teams. This whole offseason, all you hear about him is how he's calling things out really clearly, distinctly, and he's making it very clean for the offense. And then you've got Doug Kramer, who took huge steps forward this year. Those who remember, he was drafted 3 years ago. And he was drafted in the 7th round, and he was developmental. He's been on the practice squad ever since. He made the 53-man roster this year. This is not factual. This is my opinion. Why did he make the 53-man roster? Because we brought a Super Bowl caliber center in that was ranked 16th, 17th in the league last year. Out of all starting centers, he was 17th in the league. He's getting older, so there's a little criticism on him. Can he keep it up? He's 31 years old. Can he keep it? Lineman, I mean, look at Trent Williams, guys. Tackle. He's, 34 years old? He just signed a 3-year deal. He's going to be playing until he's 37. Line, as long as they stay healthy, these linemen can produce at a high level. Coleman Shelton signed a value deal. We got him for $3 to $4 million. I think it was $3.5 million. I don't have that off the top of my head. But what he's doing in this preseason, what he's doing in camp, calling things clearly, helping other offensive linemen understand what it looks like to play on a Super Bowl caliber level, his role is invaluable. He is absolutely the captain of that offensive line now, and they've responded. I get it's preseason. I get it means bupkis now. We went 4-0. We had the best pass blocking, the best run blocking. We had the best offensive line in the preseason. We've got the best backups in the world. Our starters perform the same way too, though. And it's preseason. I get it. But if he goes down, Ryan Bates right now on the depth chart is listed as a guard. Doug Kramer's the backup. I wanted us to get Connor Williams for a reason. I wanted us to go out and get him, spend the money, ended up only being $3 to $4 million. Spend the money to get him. I get the injury history. I get the concern that Ryan Poles probably had. I understand why the decision was made, what happened, why it was made. I get it. I 100% understand it. If Coleman Shelton goes down, it's a huge blow to this team. Number 3, TJ Edwards. Another guy that's not talked about enough. Another guy that's overlooked outside of Chicago. Our fan base understands TJ Edwards. Excuse me. I don't think they understand the depths of how valuable TJ Edwards was. This is what I showed on the video the other day. I don't think a lot of people understood this either. League leaders week 10 through 18, all linebackers across the entire league in coverage grade. NFL pass rating against, look at 49.8. Ronnie Harrison from Indianapolis had a 23.1. Nobody else was below 50, and look how it goes up. This is your linebackers. They've got dual responsibilities. You're blitzing on some plays. You're stopping the run on some plays. You're reading the offense. You're reading the linebacker or the tight ends that come off. You're reading the running backs. You have to be in coverage at certain places. It's harder to be I'm focused on coverage like your cornerback is. They've got dual responsibilities. TJ Edwards with 3 interceptions, 3 pass blocks, 1 dropped interception, and a 49.8 NFL passer rating against him in the second half. He helped cover up those those pressure issues as well. He, as well as Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson, were the main reason this team did so well the second half of the year, along with his tackles and laying the lumber and laying hits. He is absolutely a captain of this team for a reason, and he's an MVP of the team for this reason. I'm sorry, guys, on the chat, trying to get all this compressed into an hour video, everything I want to share to you guys. I am really sorry I'm not interacting on this one. I think you're dead right, Creighton. I think I need to do another show with multiple guys to bounce opinions off and be able to have. But for now, this is what you guys get. I'm going to get my information out there, and I appreciate you guys chatting with each other, sharing your thoughts and ideas, and I love it. TJ Edwards is absolutely so underrated. And we signed him for $7 million a year, guys. I guarantee when it comes to re-sign him, we won't be re-signing him for $7 million a year. That won't be happening. So he is, I mean, he's your Lance Brigg, he's your Tommy Harris, he's your linebacker that the Bears' historic defenses were built off of. That's exactly what TJ Edwards is, and I'm not hyping him on that. I'm absolutely being down to earth and saying he is so valuable to this team. If we lost TJ Edwards, this defense is not the same. In fact, you look at, I got to pull it up. I got to pull it up, guys. Give me 1 second. For my computer, for my video yesterday, I got to pull it up. Give me 1 second here. Actually, it might be later on in this, but I'm going to try to pull it up. Give me 1 second. And of course, it's being slow. Let's see if it's on this one. Here we go. It's going to be back here. Okay, here's TJ Edwards. So here's from the other day. And I know this is small, and I apologize, guys. This was the pass rush effect when Montes Sweat came, but it's also the change in the second half of the season with Matt Eberflus taking over this defense, the team gelling and cohesing. There's so many reasons we can talk about it. But look at the difference in TJ Edwards from the first half of the year. You look up on the top left side of the screen, TJ Edwards had a 125.8 NFL passer rating against him the first half of the year. Still the best coverage grade of any of our linebackers. 0 pass breakup, 0 interceptions, 1 defensive dropped interception. Okay, so not phenomenal, actually pretty bad first half of the year. But when that pressure came with Montes Sweat, look at the bottom there. 79.0 coverage grade, just what I showed you guys. He dropped 76 points on his NFL passer rating against him. It's freaking historic. There's no other way to put that. So number 2, we're gonna try to fly through these last couple ones. Number 2, Caleb Williams. Now I know a lot of you guys are on the hype train for Tyson Bagent. I love it, and I love you guys, and I love our fan base. Tyson Bagent could be. That's the best way to put it. He could be a starting quarterback on some teams. There's a reason you drafted a number 1 quarterback overall in this last draft, and Tyson Bagent did not have the best season last year. I know a lot of fans, well, he went 2-2, and Justin Fields only went 5 and whatever it was, 5 and 8. And he played better than that's not true at all. He played way worse than Justin Fields. He was not on time. He didn't have rhythm. He was late on everything. They had to throw 15,000 screenplays because he couldn't get the ball out. He couldn't read the defense, and he wasn't accurate. I mean, flat, plain, and simple. So I was a critic this preseason. What you've seen and what you saw from the quarterback gurus and the film breakdown is absolutely right. Tyson Bagent took a huge step forward this year. What you saw in him from the preseason was leading with anticipation, watching the field better, being able to see his receivers, looking off defenses. He looked phenomenally different. And when you listen to his interviews, he sounds more mature, like he's not overthinking things, and like he truly took that year 2 step that a quarterback needs to take. Caleb Williams, year 2, should be very special. I think he's years ahead of where other quarterbacks are. He's mentally and emotionally just more stable. He can comprehend things. He's been studying this his whole life. He's been prepared for this moment. But Caleb Williams, if he went down, Tyson Bagent, we go from what, in my opinion, should be a top 10 quarterback, even in his rookie year, top 10 quarterback. And if he follows that trajectory, should be top 5, top 4, top 3. The sky's the limit. Who knows? With Caleb Williams, if you didn't see executives gave out their reports. All of them are super high on Caleb Williams. Every one of them see him as the future of the league. They see him as an Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen type of quarterback that is very smart, emotionally, mentally, physically gifted, can do things other quarterbacks can't do. They see him that way. So he's already being deemed as very, very special. It's all about the reps at this point. He's got to get the reps in. He's got to be able to have the experience to be able to come down to those 2-minute drills and be able to have the confidence to hit and play the way that he needs to play. Not play like Jordan Love, where you're turning the ball over in the fourth quarter consistently every game. I mean, we can even say Justin Fields too, because it did happen. Whether that's the offense's fault, the play caller's fault, whatever, I can give that excuse to Justin Fields. I can't give that excuse to Jordan Love because Jordan Love has Matt LaFleur. All right, I get sidetracked. I could go off on different things, but we're going to keep it focused here. Caleb Williams can be a very special quarterback, but if he goes down, Tyson Bagent is not a substitute for him. Number one, who needs to be, because we haven't picked up another pass rusher, Montes Sweat. Montes Sweat has to be in games. I mean, these guys need to play 17 games for us. If all these guys that I've listed play 17 games for the Bears, we legitimately should make a deep playoff run. But if Montes Sweat goes down, we don't have, DeMarcus Walker doesn't generate pressure. Jacob Martin's not even healthy. And we just signed some new guys, but they were backups for a reason. Austin Booker's a rookie. It's going to take time for him to develop. And I think that the learning curve on him is going to be a lot quicker than some other guys. He's so young. He's barely 21 years old. He's one of the youngest guys in the entire league. We had to look it up. One of the running backs, I can't remember which one. One of the running backs is the youngest at 20 years old. But Austin Booker is extremely young, and he still needs to put a little weight on. But Montes Sweat, the effect that he's had, I showed this in my other video. Our pass rush last year was still 32nd in the league for an entire year. We need help with him. But what he did is you look at the changes, and this is my other video, so I'm not going to go too deep on this one. If you guys want to look at it, you can go check that one out about why we need to sign another pass rusher. What he did was bring this team from an absolute dumpster fire, garbage pile of pass rushing and give it some legitimacy. 14.7% win rate is right up there, verging the top 15, top 20 in the league. It's not there yet. Gervon Dexter at 13.3 was a huge improvement, and that's why this year is so critical with Eric Washington to be able to see what he can do. Huge improvement there. Zach Pickens improved quite a lot too, to 12.3%. That's the pass rush win rate. Then you look at their pressures they're getting. Montes Sweat, always good at it, but you want those guys. You want your number one guy to be above 10. Go look at the other video and why I was saying about Micah Parsons. He's at 25% win rate and 15 pressure between reps as a grade. I mean, he's one of the best number 2 in the league in both those categories. Gervon Dexter up to 8, though. So at this point, this team is just potential. But if Montes Sweat goes down, look at the top left on these. This is what these guys regress back to. DeMarcus Walker was at 5.2. You look at the win rates. Andrew Billings was the only one, and that's above 11 as your nose tackle. Gervon Dexter was at 9. DeMarcus Walker was at 9. Rasheem Green gone 7.6, but Yannick Ngakoue 5.3. Dominic Robinson 2.0. He went to 0 when there's no rhyme or reason for the whole Dominic Robinson thing other than Eric Washington's new, and maybe he saw something in Dominic Robinson that he wanted to keep him around for. I trust Eric Washington. As I've said in this, Eric Washington is the key to these first 4 games. If we go 4-0 to start the year against Titans, I'm not too worried about, but against Houston, that's a huge game. Against Indy, that's a huge game. And then against the Rams, those are huge games. Then after that, we get a little bit of a break, a little reprieve where this team can kind of recoup a little bit. But those 3 games are super tough. If we go 4-0 to start the year, it's because the defensive line stepped up. When I'm watching week 1, the biggest thing I'm watching is not Caleb Williams. It's not Cole Kmet. It's not DJ Moore. It's not Keenan Allen. It's not Rome Odunze. I'm obviously going to watch the entire game, and I'm excited to watch those guys. I want to see the touchdowns. I want to see DeAndre Swift get a screen play and go 50 yards just like in the preseason. I will be hooting and hollering with the rest of you. I'm going to be overcritical, and I'm going to be watching like crazy, and I want it so bad for this defensive line to be able to put pressure. And the perfect game for that is game 1 against the Titans with a young, inexperienced line that has to come together itself. If this team wants to get off to a good start, this team is going to have 4 or 5 sacks in the first game against the Titans. And maybe a couple of those come from Kyler Gordon. Maybe a couple come from TJ Edwards on blitz packages. Either way, it doesn't matter. This defense has to be able to establish itself on game 1 to be able to give this team a shot to build that confidence, to give Caleb Williams the confidence to be able to have the pressure off of him and the pass rush on the other team. That's what the true MVP of this season will come down to, is going to come down to this defensive line. And that's why we tried to trade for Matthew Judon. That's why we tried to trade, or that's why we hear the rumors of all the other trades. That's why I'm putting the video about Trey Hendrickson out. That's why I'm putting the video about Micah Parsons out. It's not just hogwash and baloney. The only thing that would prevent those things right now would be a team saying we want more value, which is why you probably won't see anything happen until mid-season, until one of these teams aren't in contention. And I think the Bengals and the Cowboys will be in contention. And both Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons are locked up for this year and next year. Unhappily, neither of them will be happy if they are on the contracts they're on. A 5th-year option for one of them and a contract that doesn't quite live up to or give the guarantees that the other one, Trey Hendrickson, I don't think either of them would be happy. And you might see something in the next offseason. Then we can maybe trade for them then. But there's so many guys coming out in the draft. There's so many ways this can go. This isn't supposed to be the speculative video. This is what this team needs this year right now. And then you look at the defense, the secondary. Look at how much their NFL passer rating against came down with pressure, with Montes Sweat here generating some pressure. Look at the difference it did to help the secondary. Jalen Johnson's NFL pass rating against, which was league leading and far above anybody else's, still came down 13.6 points. Tyreek Stevenson, I have to attribute some of this to being a rookie the first half of the year. He got picked on. He got bullied, and it was good for him. It was a good thing overall because he was able to adapt and learn. He had the right mentality and mindset. If you didn't see the Bears, they do videos all the time. They did a time capsule video with him, Darnell Wright. Who was the third one? There's a third one, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Either way, Tyreek Stevenson, he had the right mentality. My biggest opponent is myself. Keep the right, clear mentality, improve every day. I loved hearing him talk about that. It sounds corny. It's all the corny motivational stuff you hear about, but when these guys buy into it and they live it, when they don't get discouraged, it easily could have gone the other way with Tyreek Stevenson. He could have taken those touchdowns he was giving up, the poor NFL passer rating, 125.6. Look at the top section here, 125.6, lowest out of all of our guys. He could have taken that. He could have got destroyed. Allowed 6 touchdowns the first 8 weeks of the season. Terrible. I mean, it was bad. He could have taken that. It could have destroyed him. Instead, he stuck with it. And then when a little pressure came, a little pass rush came, he was able to have it click and put together. So you can, there's so many things to attribute this to. I'm giving the example of pass rush, but the secondary carried all this. And then you look at the linebackers as well. Linebackers improved too with Montes Sweat. Now, when you think about that and you see how much they improved, think about how much more Montes Sweat can improve as well when he has somebody else helping him too. If he had another guy, if Austin Booker, we'll stop using the example of getting someone else. Let's say Austin Booker, in college, guys, Austin Booker transferred to Kansas, and he wasn't supposed to get much time. The second game of his career at Kansas, he blew it up. 2 sacks, and he looked phenomenal. I did a whole video on Austin Booker. Go check it out. He looked like a freaking monster. There's no way they could sit him after that. He got more time, and then he capitalized on that time. If Austin Booker can do that same thing here, let's say he only gets, only 10 pass rush, which would be normal for a rookie on his first game, coming in very limited, probably not even the first and second quarter very much at all. Let's say he gets 10 pass rushes, and he looks good the first game. But then he gets in against Houston, and he's one of the key reasons we blow Houston up, and he gets a couple sacks in the NFL. There's no way you sit him after that. You have to give him more time. If that same thing happens in the NFL that happened in college, all of a sudden you're going to see Montes Sweat's numbers come up. You're going to see they're going to have to put more attention other places. And the same thing when you talk about Gervon Dexter. The second half of the year, he started to improve significantly, got a lot more pressure, a lot more. 20 total pressures the second half of the year when he only had 9 the first half of the year. He doubled his production the second half of the year. When you have that type of thing happening, when you've got them all each taking different attention, all of a sudden you've got monsters of the midway again. You've got guys getting in there and creating that pressure. Quarterbacks have to rush themselves, and then you've got a secondary that disguises itself as well as Matt Eberflus's secondary disguises itself. You've got guys like Kevin Byard, you've got Tyreek Stevenson, you've got Jalen Johnson, you've got TJ Edwards that can appear out of nowhere and pick off the ball. This team could easily, I mean, you heard in the preseason Matt Eberflus say, we got 1, we need 2 more. So that was telling. They said they want 20 interceptions and 20 peanut punches, 20 forced fumbles the entire year. 40 takeaways is their goal. But if you think about that, 17 games, and he was specifically saying they wanted 3 interceptions because we already had a forced fumble. And he said, there's 1. We need 2 more. They want 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions times by 17 games, that's 51. Now, I understand how goals work. You say you want 3, but really you're working towards an ultimate number of 20 is what they've said. But in their heads, they probably have more for interceptions. With the way this defense swarms, with the way we disguise ourselves, it's going to be huge. 17 times 3 is 51. If we had 51 interceptions, it would be an NFL record. It would be absolute crazy. So, all right. I think I've got my point across here. This team is close, but it's going to come down to the beginning of the season with these guys. With Montes Sweat, with Caleb Williams, and how well they make the opportunity for him, with TJ Edwards, with Coleman Shelton, and with Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson. If these guys stay healthy all year, if they create the pressure, if they get the help they need, I absolutely believe this team is not just playoff bound, but this team, if all these guys stay healthy and perform up to the expectations, this could be a 13-4 team. This could be an NFC championship team. This could be a Super Bowl team. I get the hype, and the whole point of this video is to bring that hype down a little bit because we are thin at superstars. We've got some really, really, really good players that have proved themselves and need to take it as another step forward. But these MVP players, if they get hurt, if someone goes down, if Coleman Shelton goes out, this offensive line could be just like last year. Think about it. That's the only real position that's different this year than last year. It is. Nate Davis, we all want him to revert back to how he was with Tennessee. We want him to play better. Tevin Jenkins is just a beast. I'm not worried at all. Braxton Jones played a lot better. His run backing, his pass blocking, both have improved. Darnell Wright, for a rookie, played really well, but he's got to take that step year 2 to be an elite tackle. He's got to improve upon it, and he's got to make the adjustments. But Coleman Shelton is where the crux is on this offense. So, all right, let me know what you guys think about this team, about who needs to be our MVP, because there's one thing, I mean, you could easily see DJ Moore was a captain, but if he goes down, I contemplated him because he really is a unique and special player, but Keenan Allen has also proven himself. And you've still got Cole Kmet, and you've still got Gerald Everett, and you've still got Rome Odunze. So you still got weapons there. I'm more worried about the defense at this point. All right, I haven't looked at all at the chat, and I apologize. We're going to wrap this up real soon, but let me look at some of these chats here. I think we're going to, though. Hopefully Kyler won't have to blitz a lot. The D line needs to step up, but I think that's part of the package, as we call it, and I think you're going to see a lot of it. I think Kyler could he could have a sack the first game, and I love the aspect of that team. The MVP is our punter pinning them to the 2-yard line. You guys watch PFF's analysis on the Bears to start this year? If you haven't, go watch it because it's a ton of misinformation. It's garbage. It's wrong. It's so wrong on every aspect. But it was funny because one of the two guys, not Tampa Bay Trey, I don't remember what the other guy's name was. Either way, he was talking about how he debated Torrey Taylor being the most valuable rookie that we drafted. And ended up went with Caleb Williams. But there's some truth to it. The field position game is going to be hugely valuable this year. Oh, yeah. Who put that? Hassan Reddick is still missing at Jets camp. And if there's a way to get – the problem is now you've got inflated egos and you've got issues. If he misses, he's going to lose money while he's missing out on camp. And then if he goes past 8 weeks, he loses his eligibility for the year being used up. That contract reverts and he's stuck under contract for another year. So either he has to play in duress, or a team like the Bears could come in and say, hey, look, we know you gave up a third. We don't have a fourth. We'll give you a compensatory third if Ian Cunningham leaves us, or we'll give you a third in 2026 to make up for your loss, and we'll take Hassan Reddick off your hands. I mean, there's so many ways this could all fly out. And last year, remember, guys, trades were made right up to when the season started. Not quite this late, but it did happen with Dan Feeney. We did trade for him right around this exact time. So something could be in the works. I'm not saying there is. Oh, Tyler Scott was the other guy that did the interview. You're 100% right, Ricky. Thank you. Okay. Cliff. Nailed it. And not just that, but it's the rep. I mean, these guys, they don't have the reps at the NFL level. They haven't proven themselves. As exciting as it is in the preseason to watch Hardy and Booker from both sides be able to generate that pressure, you're going up against second, third string guys. I think Booker actually sets the edge really well, but he plays kind of free and flowing. So sometimes he has to play from behind a little bit, but he makes up for it. And it's wild to watch how he can come from the other side and make a tackle from the backside because of his relentless motor. It's absolutely crazy. So I think Booker does fine with the edge. Taylor doesn't have any edge whatsoever. He is a pure pass rusher. That's all he is. And Hardy, I just think, is still trying to adapt to the position. And this was a huge step for him to be able to develop into a defensive end this year. A lot of people know he started as an outside linebacker. He was 220 pounds as well. He had to put on weight. He was in our I was going to say farm system. This isn't baseball. He was in our practice squad last year, and he's come along a long ways. This was huge. I don't think he's someone you could depend on yet. And you're missing Jacob Martin there, but Jacob Martin's missed the entire offseason. So it's a little bit worrisome. All right, we are going to wrap it up, going on 48 minutes. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. Antmus, Illinois, McGee, Cliff, Victoria, the Nodge, Ricky, Ricardo, Muck, the General. Yeah, and I think we're there. I think we definitely need to draft a safety next year. I agree with all of this. Edge, 3 tech, center, guard as well. I really I did a mock draft video. Michael Davis, thanks for being here. Jay Brinko, as always, thanks for being here. Appreciate all you guys. King James. Boom. Okay, I hope this was informative. I'm going to do my weekly predictions, my weekly power rankings. I'm also going to do my breakdown videos after the games. I'm going to do upset picks. I've got so much stuff planned for this year, and the channel is growing really well, so I'm really happy with it. Thank you, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. It helps the algorithm thingy. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I'm going to leave you guys with that. I got to hit the road, and then I will not be going live for this game. I'll give my analysis throughout the game as I did on games. On week 2, I will be going live for that game. We'll have a watch party, and I appreciate anybody that can tune in for that. I'm still eager to see if there's one more move made before the season, but hopefully this was informative as where we stand and how important it is for this team to gel to start off. Because if we gel and it goes really well, this team could be 9-0, and I'm not kidding with that. It legitimately could. If we're 4-0, we could easily be 9-0. The problem is those first 4 games with a rookie quarterback, a defensive line that's adjusting to Eric Washington's way and doing things, it's going to be very telling. We could go 0-4, and guys, don't panic if we do. This is a young team that has to develop. I'm not making that my prediction. I have us predicted to go 3-1 to start the year. I do. I'm flying out for the 4th game. I'm going to be there for the Rams game because I think that's going to be a huge one for us. In fact, we'll talk more about that. But if anybody wants to get together like the night before and do something, like do dinner or something, that'd be a lot of fun. We'll do some kind of party or something. But I plan on going out there for that one. But this is going to be very telling how this first game goes. So I will give my analysis through the game. All right. With that, I appreciate all of you guys. Other guys, the Harriest Beer Gooch, Bob Killen, MJ Black, Stanry, all you guys are great. Appreciate this entire community. Claws up, bear down, and dabears.